All right, guys, so if you missed number 3 or 4 on the quiz, you're going to go ahead and do a review and go over the quiz questions for percent application and percent increase or decrease. So for percent application, we use our percent proportion, which we should already know. So percent proportion, we always have 100 over here every single time. So the bottom right is 100, and on top of it is percent. And then on the left, you're going to be talking about part over whole. So for example, you could say 20 students like pizza best out of 100 students. What percent is that? So X would go here. So part over whole. Now, part is sometimes said in word problems as is. So what is 20%? And then on the bottom is of. $58. So what is, X would go here. 20% of 58. 58 would go here. So just really use your cues in the problem. So part over whole or is over of. And then the right side is easy peasy. It's always 100 or percent over 100. All right, so knowing our percent proportion, let's go over this problem. It says a keyboard that costs $475 is marked down 15% for a sale. How much is the savings? So we're asking about savings, and it's 15% off. So we're saying 15%. Let's go ahead and get our proportion ready. Without a doubt, I know 100 goes here. And since it has a 15%, percent goes up top. So how much is this savings? So is the savings our whole, or is that the piece of our keyboard cost? That's our part of our keyboard costs, right? So we don't know how much the savings are, but we know the total of the keyboard is $575. So knowing that, once we have a proportion, we do our steps we always do. So 100x equals 475 times 15. So 475 times 15. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 7 is 35 plus 2 is 37. 4 times 5 is 20 plus 3 is 23. Put a 0, 5, 7, 4. Add it all up. 5 plus 7 is 12. 10, 11. 4 plus 2 is 6, 7. So 71.25. And then I need to get x by itself, so I'm going to divide by 100. Sorry guys, I jumped ahead. 7,125, so my decimal was here. And then I divide by 100, so I move my decimal to the left 2 places. Sorry about that. So x is 71.25. Now, is that what the question's asking for? It says, how much is the savings? So yes, if it's asking for the savings, which it is, it's saying that it wants the 15%. But if it was asking for how much the keyboard cost, then we would have to subtract our discount from our total to find our answer. So your answer in this case was B. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the next type of percent problem. So this type of percent problem is percent increase or decrease. So an increase would be something, such as a markup, and a decrease could be a markdown. Or an increase could be that you're trying to find a percent of profit, or, you know, the new price with a certain percent of profit. So again, percent, we always use proportions. So percent, proportions, percent, proportions. And every time we have a percent proportion, 100 goes here on the bottom. So I wrote it twice because I just want to remind you guys two different ways. So yes, again, we have percent on top. So the difference in this percent proportion is that on the top is going to be your change. So your change is going to be the big number minus the small number. Every time, big number minus small number equals change. And then on the bottom, you're going to put original. And remember that this is a piece that's really important. So it's usually the number that comes first in the problem, but sometimes it'll say, I don't know, that the price of the TV is $500, but it started out at $300. Then the original would have been $300. And just to make sure that we always focus on it and we always get it right, we put an asterisk or a little star by original in the problem. That way we put it where it belongs. So change over original equals percent over 100. Same as big minus small equals percent over 100. All right, so let's go ahead and do this example problem from the quiz. Okay, so Mrs. Vu buys a television for $125 and sells it for $200. What is the percent of increase? So she bought it for $125, sells it for $200. We want to know what is the percent of increase. So she bought it here. So this is the starting point. So I'm going to put my asterisk so I know that that's my original. So change over original equals percent over 100. So I don't know the percent, but I know it always goes over 100. So now change is big minus small. So 200 minus 125 and over original. Well, I know which one that is because I have my asterisk. So 200 minus 125, in case you don't know it offhand. Line up your decimals. You have to borrow all the way from over here. It becomes 1. This becomes 10, but I have to borrow again. So that's 9. That's 10. 10 minus 5 is 5. 9 minus 2 is 7. And 0. So 75 over 125 equals x over 100. Cross product. So I have 125x equals, and then I have 75 times 100. But if you do your trick, you know that you take your decimal and move it two places to the right. So 0, 0. So 7,500 divide by 125, divide by 125. So 7,500 divided by 125. All right, so let me think about that. Well, I know it goes 125, 250, say 375, 500, 625, and then 750. So times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 makes it 750. I subtract, but I got to get to my decimal, so it's 60, not 6%. And just to make sure, if I want to double check my division, I can do 125 times 60. 5 times 6 is 30, 2 times 6 is 12, 13, 14, 15, 1, 6, 7. So 7,500. So x equals 60%. So my answer was A. There's a 60% increase from 125 to 200. All right, so now guys, I want you to go ahead and do your independent practice. So first you're going to do the section of problems that you missed on the quiz. So if you missed percent application, do that first. If you missed percent increase or decrease, do that first. If you missed both, then make sure that you're getting through both in class. I want to make sure that you guys have help on the areas of growth and opportunities. So make sure that you're asking questions, put your answers in Go Formative.